This is the Keychron K1 low profile keyboard. I went for the 87 key or Tenkeyless as they say, RGB backlight in aluminium body with Gateron low profile red keys. This is the version 4 of this wireless mechanical keyboard. Quick disclosure guys, I'm not sponsored by Keychron. I bought this keyboard myself. Basically after hours and hours of scouring YouTube and the interwebs, and spoiler alert, I'm really pleased with it. Let's crack on. This keyboard also comes in white backlit version, but I went for the RGB version. At the time of recording, this is costing approximately $75. You can have it with Windows or Mac keycaps, and they send you both, which is great. As well as the extra keycaps, they also send you a USB-C cable to charge or to use it in wired mode, and also the keycap remover. When you do use it in wired mode, it also charges the battery at the same time. It feels really great in the hand. It has this really nice, hefty feel to it. It feels expensive, if you know what I mean. It doesn't feel cheap. It's not the most expensive keyboard out there. It's not the cheapest either. It's made of this beautiful black aluminum. It has a very nice sort of anodized finish. The sides here are plastic though. Not that you would notice, but yeah, it doesn't take away from the nice feel to it. It weighs 805 grams, but the main point of this keyboard is that it's very, very slim. These mechanical switches still have quite a bit of travel. It's approximately 3 mil of travel and 1.5 mil of actuation. A typical MX keyboard, for example, has 4 mil of travel and 2 mil actuation. So even though it's a low profile keyboard, don't expect it to be as low as a keyboard on a laptop, for example. At its highest point, it comes in at 22 mil, including the keycap, and 18.5 mil at its lowest. It has a floating key design and exposed switches. When you look from the side, it looks really cool actually. They're very Mac-like in their shape, which I really liked because I come from a heavy use of Mac. As an added bonus for Mac users, it has the function keys here, which actually is much more than I currently have on my MacBook. And you can toggle between the function and multimedia keys for both Mac and Windows. If you're in a Mac, to enable function keys, you need to enable that in the Mac OS settings first as well. For Windows machines, you just need to do a shortcut, the function X and L. Don't know if this is on purpose, but I like that they chose X and L for the lovely Microsoft Excel action. And if you're feeling very calm and relaxed and you want to frustrate yourself, you can enable Cortana or Siri using these shortcuts. By the way, this allows you to connect to iPhones and also Android phones, but Siri won't work on the iPhone. It will work on the Mac though. There's a lot that you can do here with the lights, lots of patterns and effects here. You can short press the light button here on the corner to change between the effects, and function and the arrow left or right to change the color of that effect. You can also use F5 and F6 to change the brightness. It has 4 levels of brightness. The key point here is that if you're undecided on which to buy, either the white backlit or RGB, you can get the white colors with the RGB version. So you basically get both. But if you don't want the colors ever, then the white backlit will be the best choice for you. Moving to the back of the keyboard, it has a USB Type-C port, slightly off center, which may trigger your OCD a little bit. So when you put the cable in, it's kind of not in the middle. It might annoy some people. And the switches at the back to toggle between wired and Bluetooth, as well as changing between Windows and Mac or iOS and Android, they're not flush with the metal casing. So they're a little bit annoying. You have to really dig in there to be able to switch them. That could be better. But they did improve this on the smaller K3 version. But the K3 version doesn't have the arrow keys like this one kind of separated. They're kind of smaller. So when it comes to Bluetooth pairing, you can pair this keyboard with up to 3 devices. To pair the keyboard, all you have to do is press function 1 or 2 or 3 and then find the keyboard on your device. You will only need to do this once unless you get a new computer or a new mobile device to pair it with. The Bluetooth performance was okay, but there were times when the keyboard, after 10 minutes, it goes to sleep. And I lost a couple of keystrokes to wake it up, but you get used to it. It's just to preserve battery, it goes to sleep after 10 minutes. You can disable that as well. Keychron states in the manual that it can be operated within 10 meters in an open space, which is really good. Is it any good for gaming? Mechanical keyboards are usually associated with gamers, but I didn't do any serious gaming. I'm on a Mac, so physically impossible anyway. But it's nice to have the arrow keys kind of isolated here. I think if you are doing any gaming, that's quite a nice feature. I use them a lot in my workflow for editing, and I really enjoy them here as well. They're very nice and comfortable for me in comparison to the Mac. But I guess that could be down to a personal preference. They do have a smaller version, the Key 3 as I mentioned, which has slightly different features, which we'll touch on throughout the video. I went for this version because I got an ultra wide monitor, and I decided I could keep a minimal design now since I wasn't really relying on my Mac screen so much. The battery life is really good on this, and because after 10 minutes it switches off the backlight, which you can disable. To disable that, you hold function and SO for 4 seconds, and that will disable the automatically turning off of the backlight, and you can do the same to re-enable it. The battery itself is a 2000 mAh battery. It takes about 2 hours to fully charge it from dead, but I've used this heavily for the last couple of weeks and only needed to charge it twice so far. So the officially stated working time is 35 hours with the backlight on, which is pretty amazing really. It's very comfortable. I've never used low profile keyboards before, and I wanted something that had a nice feel but also a pleasing sound. So I went for the red switch. They have a blue one, which is a more clicky sort of version of this, and a brown one that is much quieter. The red switch for me is like a nice middle ground with a lovely sound that is not really going to annoy people around you or in the house. The switches themselves are not hot swappable. You can change the keycaps, but not the switches themselves, which is why it's so important to choose the right switch for you. The bigger keys have these metal stabilizers. These might get noisy with time. From what I can tell, they're quite easy to replace anyway. I'm giving you a lot of detail here on the red version, but if you want to see what the brown and blue look like, there's also this table for reference that you can get from the Keychron website. It feels really nice to type on this keyboard. I'm still getting used to it, but it's funny, the more I use it, the more I enjoy it. For me, it's a really nice feel to it. There's a couple of quirks to it though, like the command key, for example, is not directly above the X and C, so copy and paste takes a little while to get used to. The typing when you hit the key is quite soft with a very gentle springy feel to it, and the keycaps are not flat. They have this nice concave shape, very nice to rest your fingers on, which is probably why I really like this keyboard. Unfortunately, the caps lock light doesn't seem to light up to indicate it's activated, but there's a light on the top left here to do that job. Guys, quick reminder, I'll be very brief. I'm building a really nice library of content here for you, and I'm having a ton of fun creating these videos. Good news is, I don't plan on stopping anytime soon, so if you are enjoying this video, it would mean the world to me if you hit the thumbs up, and even better if you subscribe to the channel. I guess there's a lot of personal preference that goes into choosing a mechanical keyboard, but for me, who never used a low profile keyboard before, this feels extremely satisfying. Bear in mind, I have learned to type on a typewriter. Yes, I'm old, so the bar is quite low for me. And here's what it sounds like again. I'm not a very fast typer, by the way. Let me know if you want me to take this apart in a separate video or compare this keyboard with another low profile keyboard. Overall, it looks fantastic. It goes really well with my Mac, and as a heavy Mac user, this is really a nice transition for me into the mechanical keyboard world. I really love the fact that there's more space in between the keys in comparison to my Mac, which really improves the typing experience. On the Mac, I feel like I've got sausage fingers now. On this, I feel like I've got more breathing, more space to type, and overall, much more pleasing experience. And guys, think how many hours you spend with something like this, right? You interact with this more than you interact with people, in my case anyway. So it's important to choose something that is really comfortable. The main negatives I have, one is that when it's gone to sleep, it takes a few keystrokes to wake it up. So if you're in a rush and you start typing, you might lose a few keystrokes. From a comfort perspective, I'm able to rest my hand at a fairly comfortable position here, but I can see some people not being 100% comfortable with that because they are slightly elevated in comparison to something like the Apple Magic keyboard or the Microsoft Surface keyboard, for example. So some people may prefer to use like a wrist support here to be on the same level. As I said, for me, even after long hours of typing, I've had no wrist pains or discomfort. But that's me. I think it's a really clean design, very appealing to me. I love how slim for a mechanical keyboard, you know, the design, the colors, and the fact that it is Bluetooth, allowing me to connect to Windows and Mac, Android and iPhone, which for me makes this a really complete keyboard, much better than my Mac keyboard. I actually hate going back to my laptop or using my work laptop right now without this keyboard. One final thing, hit the bell that's next to the subscribe button and join the fastest growing community on YouTube. This is the Bell Gang. We just hit double digits. There's about, I don't know, 12 of us now. All you have to do is subscribe and hit the notification bell and comment #BellGang down in the comments. And I'll see you and your smiling faces in the next one. Bye.